I'm very, very proud and happy to see so many people, despite the bad weather. Thank you. As Ronnie said, I'm born in Germany. It's so important for me, as she said, a survivor and a witness of the most tragic time in the history of mankind. I lived in a country, a civilized, cultured, clean, polite, höflich. Why? All my life, I ask why. The young people I want to teach, never do to anyone what you don't want to have done to you. And for you, I want you to join me today in the dream I have to make this world a better place. In French we say, l'union fait la force. Together we are strong. Alone we are nothing. Together. I want you to join me to remove the word hate from the vocabulary of the dictionary. Hate is a disease. You say, I don't like those people, but you don't hate. Because I cannot understand how a man like Adolf Hitler, a madman, could manipulate a country like Germany, a country of poetry, music, Beethoven, Mozart, Schiller, Goethe, Freund. You have no idea how disappointed I am, because this was my country. I was German first, German second, and Jewish at home. And it happened. So please, join me in remembering. Remember my words. When it happened, it is too late. That is why I want you to learn. We cannot change what has passed, but we can change the future. You and me. L'union fait la force. So as Ronnie said, I'm born in Leipzig, and I was in a wonderful school called Leibniz Gymnasium, a high school. My grandfather went to that school. In October 1933, 6 months after my bar mitzvah, I was kicked out. I cried from the school until home. I loved my school, I loved my friends. Suddenly, I'm not German anymore. Why? I lost 2 uncles and a grandfather fighting for Germany in World War I. Highly decorated German officers. How much you can give to a country than my grandmother has given. 2 sons and a husband. Defending Germany, fighting for Germany. Pui. I will never forget or forgive. There is no forgiveness. And by the way, no one ever has said to me from the German people, I'm sorry. No one. No one. So I'm more disappointed than you. When I see the things which are happening now, I say the people are mad. They haven't learned nothing from what happened. And further we go, more the danger approaches the whole world. There are plenty of fanatics. Between us, they are hidden. This is why it's so important. If you want to please me, please become members of this lovely museum. This is the only way that we can teach the next generation of not to hate and live a normal life. Doesn't matter where you come from, what color you are, or what religion. We should behave like humans. Not even animals behave like the German, because animals only kill for food, not for pleasure. They made us scum, and they behaved them as scum. These are no people. You will never understand what that means, Auschwitz. I have been to Auschwitz. It's only because, let's go back. I was kicked out of school and I went home. My father was so upset, who worked also in the war for the country, that he said to me, "Don't worry, I have a friend who is 860 kilometers from our city. He's the headmaster of a wonderful school, boarding school. All the 700 pupils become engineers. I am a precision engineer. My wife is Greek, and when she is naughty, I can say, Flo, I can change wives, but I can't change my profession. And my profession saved my life. I tell the children, we are all born with a little machine called the brain. Put as much as possible in this brain. It not only shapes your life, it might even save your life. And that's important. This is why I believe Jewish people, because in history we had bad luck, and we have to put as much as possible. Because this is the only thing nobody can take from you. That belongs to you. Not even your hair. If a Hitler comes, he takes everything from you. But he can't take what's in here. This is why, if you have 15 or 20 people, German, you have 2 doctors. We had in Auschwitz a lot of doctors. So my father took me to a city called Stuttgart, and next is Tuttlingen, a small town of 90,000 people. I lived there for 5 years. Never see my parents, never go home. I work for Siemens and Carl Zeiss, learning my trade, and every night, including Saturday, is school from 4 to 9. And I tell you, not school like here. It's like with a chisel. You don't pass the exams every year, you're out. In Germany, you don't become a mechanic or a doctor if you don't come up to a certain level. Unions are not like here. Unions are innings, and you have to be rewarded to accept it by an inno. I am accepted. But my name became Walter Schleif. No one knew that I have parents or that I'm Jewish. Somebody would have seen the shower, my bottom, I'm dead. You have no idea what a hard youth I had. I cried many hours when we went to bed. We haven't got time that I give you so much, but I want to tell you, just to ring my parents, I had to go in the city of Tuttlingen, go to a David Jones, take the lift to the 8th floor, run across the other side, go to the 2nd floor, and make this movement 2, 3, sometimes 4 times before I was sure no one follows me. And then in a dark corner, behind the curtain, there were 2 telephones to put phone in, money in. And I rang my lovely parents. It was more crying than talking. And my father used to say to me, Eddie, I know it's hard, but one day you will be very, very grateful. I swear to you, I am very grateful. I wouldn't last 3 months in Auschwitz if I would have come there from home. My mom would clean my shoes, put toothpaste on my toothbrush. I would have been lost in this rotten world. I worked for Siemens, and I was worried maybe in the night when I go to sleep, I'll call my parents or my mom or my sister. So I made myself a lamp with mini batteries and we covered my head, switched on the light and studied. I was so tired sometimes I fall asleep with the light on. And so the others would say, "You see this Walter? He's frightened of the dark." But this was all right. I made the biggest mistake of my young life. On the 9th of November, 1938, I was 18 and a half years old. I went home. I bought myself a ticket and made a 9-hour train trip from Tuttlingen to Leipzig. I came home on a Wednesday afternoon at 5:30. I had a key, otherwise I would sleep in the gutter. I opened the door and there was my dog, a dachshund, Lulu, L-U-L-U. He recognized me. He jumped on my legs. He kissed me. He licked me. He was happy, and so was I. I was a very proud young German. I thought this was the best civilization could give to a young man like me. How wrong I was. I didn't have time in boarding school to listen to music or newspaper or read news, so I didn't know what's going on. I went to bed at 12:30 with my dog on the bottom. Sorry. At 5 o'clock in the morning, on the 10th of November, 1938, 10 of the Nazis broke in the door of our house, a big house, and I swear to you, they bashed me to pieces. My pyjama was full of blood. They stabbed me. They hit me. They bashed me when I was on the floor. And one took out the bayonet of his pouch, cut my left sleeve off my pyjama, and started to engrave a swastika in my arm. And as he was cutting, blood was running down to my fingers. My little dog saw the blood. He jumped on him. I don't know if he bit him or just scared him. He let me go, put his bayonet on his rifle, and killed my dog, shouting, "Ein Judenhund," a Jewish dog. Now, these were not 16 or 17-year-old hoodlums who snatching ladies' handbags. These were family men, men with wives and children, men educated professionals. Why? Maybe you find a way to tell me why? I will die without this question answered. Why? I don't hate. I speak twice a year to a German school in Maruba. Oh, they come here. I don't hate. There is no such thing in humanity as revenge. I cannot go there and kill a few Germans. They haven't done nothing to me. But be aware. All fanatics are bad. Please. I went to my first concentration camp, Buchenwald. My number is 1,205 in Buchenwald. 11,000 Jewish men only, came to Buchenwald in 1938. We were in a tent. Our toilet was a big hole like half of this hall in the ground, and two trees across, and with 25 sitting on each tree, making their business, and have no paper to wipe your backside. These were lawyers, scientists, doctors, all professional people. Me, why? I cut my sleeve of my shirt. We had no uniform. And I made 4 pieces of rags. This is what I used for my toilet paper. And every night I sneaked out under the wall of the tent to a small creek only that big and washed my rags for the next day. Why? Our food was delivered in a big bowl. Rice and little pieces of meat. no spoon, no dish, nowhere to sit. I say to the fellow next to me, fill him up and eat like a pig. My jacket was full of stains. Why? Some mornings they opened the gates and let 2, 3, up to 500 people go. And when they are 40, 50 meters, the machine gun starts shooting. And they shot in the back. Then they put the body in a bag and send it with a letter to the family. Your husband, your brother, your uncle, your son has tried to escape, so we shot him. What bastard. But I knew the German better than my own hand. I know their qualities and I know their downfall. I couldn't get out. I wouldn't get out. I knew they won't get away. But we had 1,423 Jewish men married to Christians. And those lovely ladies came to Berlin and walked for 2.5 hours every day from 6 to 8 and shouted, "Let our husbands out." And they let them out. But nobody has done that for us. The whole world stood still and let the people, the Germans, do what they wanted to do. Why? Please. Why? So, as I was in this camp, one day I found a good friend of mine who was from boarding school. His name was Hans von Gaggenau. And a von, V-O-N, is an aristocrat. Like we have a queen, Germany had a Kaiser. It was Kaiser William. That is a descendant. His parents lived in a castle, and I helped him a lot. He was not very good, neither in mathematics, physics, science. I was invited sometimes on Sunday to his house. And he saw me, and he called me Walter. And I said, "Hans, you became a god?" I spit on his shoe. Without telling me, he went to the commander of Buchenwald, and he said, "I have a friend downstairs. He's willing to work for us. He's willing to sign a contract. He's a tool maker. We need tool makers. And he's willing to work for us to the end of his life." They called me in the office, and I said, "Eddie Jaku, you want to work for us?" "Yes." "You want to sign a contract?" "Yes." "Sign." And I signed. Now you see the funny part of the German. Instead of taking me from Buchenwald to Bleichert in Dessau, they call my dad. And they say, "Mr. Jaku, your son Eddie is going to be released on the 2nd of May 1939. Pick him up at 7 o'clock. Take him home so he spend a few hours with his mom. And then in the afternoon you take him to Bleichert, that's the company who makes aeroplanes and rockets." My father picked me up, not in his car, in a hired car. My father has not opened his mouth for 9 hours, and he drove. I said, "Dad, where are we going? It's not the way home, it's not the way to the company." My father didn't answer, locked the door. And we arrived in a city called Aachen. That's the border town between Germany and Belgium. We went to a restaurant, we had a wonderful meal, and while we were eating, my father got up and asked the owner of the restaurant for the phone number of a smuggler. At 12 o'clock, the smuggler came. He couldn't take us straight to Belgium. That was the Siegfried line, the Maginot line. They were a defense line. So we went into Holland, and from Holland into Belgium. And the next morning early, we got there. My father hired an apartment, and for 2 weeks I was free, living with my dad. And then a knock on the door, 7 o'clock in the morning. Belgian police come and arrest me, not as a Jew, as a German. and I'm put in a camp in Exarde, near Ghent, and with 4,000 Germans. Communists, socialists, Democrats, homosexuals, gypsies. All the people who are running away are with me. And I was with a man, his name was Urtel. He was foreign minister before the war. I made an application to the Belgian government, and they gave me permission to go every day to a city called Ghent, Gand in French, and I studied. I had to learn them, teach them mechanic or tool making, and I had also lessons in my profession. And this was very nice. Only once I missed the train. Why? We have identity card, and the identity card is marked Jude, Jew. And I have to go to the police to get it stamped. But the policeman was on the toilet, and when he came out, it was too late. I couldn't take this train. But it helped me a lot, not only in my education, in other things too. I became more matured, more patient, and so on. On the 10th of May, 1940, Hitler invaded Norway, Denmark, Holland, Belgium, France. The camp was liquidated. There was a ship waiting for us in Ostend. But we didn't make it because the camp commandant was a collaborator. He was a traitor. He didn't want us to get to the coast. So when we arrived there, the ship was gone. We walked down to Dunkirk. I don't know if many of you knew there was a big battle, and the British, no Americans and no Australian, but Canadians, British, Polish, which came from England, Belgium, France, Dutch people, they were defeated, and Dunkirk was a dead camp. Thousands of people were there on the street dead, including British soldiers. And some of them, they went on a ship and they're going to England. And one who was with me, the foreign minister under Bismarck, that's the government before Hitler, took the uniform of a dead soldier, put it on, and walked on a ship. And so I said to myself, I speak a little English, I can do that too. I tried to look for men my size, and when I found them, I want to take off the trousers. He had all his intestine in the trousers. I couldn't. I walked for 2.5 months, nearly 3 months, from France, from the north of France to the south, because France was occupied only half. Half was Vichy France, they were collaborating with the Germans, and half was occupied. I must tell you, I speak highly of the French farmers. Every morning, when the sun up, I pass a farmhouse, a woman comes out and shouts, "Tu as mangé hier? Did you eat yesterday?" "No, come in." They never ask my name, they never ask where I come from, and they never ask where I'm going. And this is magnificent. I appreciate that. This is wonderful. While I was in the countryside, I didn't have to go to a toilet, but I came to a big city called Lyon. And in France, we have no separate toilets. Men and women go into the same toilet. You have to pay the lady who's sitting in the middle 1 franc, which is 50 cents. She gives you a hand towel. She takes your jacket if you have one. And she tells you in which cubicle she wants you to go. It happened to me, and she took my jacket, hanged it up on a coat hanger, and I'm sitting down. I haven't sit down for 2 minutes or 3 minutes. The door opens, French women coming to pull me off the toilet with my trousers down, started punching me because the lady went to my jacket and she found my German passport. She went into the street and she shouted, "Parachutist." That means not only parachutist, because the German had lots of spies all over the place. They spoke the language of the country. because the planes had no laser like today. They had to visualize bombing. And when they missed, there was a spy with two-way radio on special frequency, and he would speak to the pilot, Hans or Fritz, come back, you idiot. You missed the building by 20, 30, 40 meters. They took me for a spy. I was arrested again. I was sent to a camp called Gurs, G-U-R-S. I was there for 11 months with 19,000 prisoners, mostly non-Jewish. I didn't even know that I was another Jew, because we all were speaking German. Until February 1941, my name was called. Hitler and Laval made a deal. He told the French government, Prime Minister, give me all the German Jews, I need workers, and I give you thousands and thousands of prisoners in exchange. I was loaded 35 people in a wagon. And on each French wagon, you find on the platform a hammer, a screwdriver, and a shifting spanner. I took this off, put it into my jacket, and I asked the French driver how long this train will travel in France before it enters Germany. He told me 9 hours. So I had 9 hours to get out. I unscrewed all the bolts off the floor and chased them out. I didn't know a floorboard is not made like that. A floorboard has a tongue and a groove. And this was interlocked. I tell you, it was 10 hours before I was able to chisel away one tongue. And eventually I opened 2 planks, and 9 of us, the skinny ones. We go in like that, and we turn, and we have already our feet on the floor, on the ground, but the train doesn't stop, it goes. And suddenly I saw big lights, and I said, no, and we fall down. That was Strasbourg station. That's the border town between France and Germany. I let the train going to Auschwitz. We put our hand over head because sometimes a cable or a chain is hanging down that hits you in the middle, you're dead. The train went to Auschwitz, but without me. I was free again. I had to jump on trains going in the direction of Belgium. When I came to Brussels after 1 week, it was very hard. I slept outside. I didn't have much food. I arrived in Brussels. I couldn't find my parents and my sister. They left their lovely apartment. I went to live with an old gentleman, Monsieur Toa, in the attic of his building. And that is how I found them. They were in bad shape. They had no stamps to buy food. It was rationing. I found a job in a cigarette factory. The man, his name was Tannenboom. That means Christmas tree in Flemish, Tannenboom. Tannenboom. And he said to me, Eddie, I need a mechanic. Nobody must know that you work for me. I have 7 children. You have to swear on the Bible. I'm going to put on your collar a little capsule. If you're caught in the night going home from my factory, you press this capsule, a little tablet will fall out, you put that in your mouth, and you're dead in 30 seconds. I swear to you, if I was caught, that's what I would do. But I was never caught. Hallelujah. But one night, a car was coming. There's curfew from 10 to 5 o'clock in the morning. There's only 3 people on the ground. This is firemen, army, and police. And I heard the car coming. It had no lights, and I ran into a doorway, and I swear to you, a big dog bit me. I still got the marks. The next morning, after work, after I was sleeping, I went to a chemist. I bought myself a needle and a small box with tetanus, and I gave myself an injection. It was very, very hard. And in February 1943, I came home at 2:45 from my work. I come home, I thought everybody's asleep. I switch on the light. My parents are gone, my sister's gone. 7 Nazis waiting there for me. And this time, it is to Auschwitz. This time we are loaded 150 people, men, women and children, in a wagon. We get 1 bucket of water, and 1 bucket is the toilet. 150 people. You cannot lie down. You can stand or kneel. Stand, there is no space. My father, a stubborn German, he said to the people, I have 2 products of Switzerland in my pocket. One was a pouch, inside a cup. You pull it up, it's a cup. You pull it down, it's about that thick. And he had a knife. You can buy it in white or red with a cross. It's got scissors, screwdriver, bottle opener, corkscrew, pinpointer. My father had this. And he took a big newspaper and cut. My father gave everyone in the morning a cup of water and a little piece of newspaper. In the evening, you give him back the newspaper. No one died in my wagon. In the other 9 wagons from Belgium, I swear to you, up to 70 or 80% never made it to Auschwitz. They died in those wagons. You cannot live more than 3 days without water. You can live 2 weeks without food, not without water. And the people in those wagons that drink with their hands all day and all night. And then they had no water. I saw many times or heard people were shouting, my gold ring for water. Please, water. So we arrived in Auschwitz. And me, stupid, I help all the people out of the wagon. The wagon is that high and it's muddy. In Auschwitz it's very, very cold. And when I looked up, I be with my father. I didn't see my sister or my mom going away. We meet Dr. Joseph Mengele. He says to my father, this way, and to me, this way. And I saw my father going on a truck. So I went behind those stooges, and I was nearly at the truck when one of the guards shouted, hey, you! Hat nicht gesagt, diesen Weg? Didn't he tell you this way? And I said, well, why? He said, your father goes by truck, and you walk into the camp. I didn't try anymore. This was feasible. But I never saw my father or my mom, ever. My father and my mom died in a gas chamber 20 minutes before they suffocated. Why? Not only you get killed, but the way you get killed. This is not killing, this is torturing. Why? Please, that's why I say, take out the word hate from your vocabulary. This is what happened when people hate. We have no time that I give you a lot of Auschwitz, but Auschwitz is a death camp. Every day can be your last day. I became workshop manager of Bayer, B-A-Y-E-R. The machines go on air pressure, and I repair the clocks, the manometer, who check the air pressure. I had many in my pocket, and when somebody of my people shouted, hey, the air pressure of my machine goes down, I run, I close the machine, I change the clock, and it goes again. Because I had on a chain, I had a plate. If one machine stops, you hang. So I made sure no machine stopped. And I had the access of a kitchen where I repaired for myself a big pot. I told you before we have a lot of doctors. The doctors are taken away every day, every morning, to German hospitals, because their doctors are on the front in the east and on the front in the west. And so the doctors get 4 potatoes a day. I boil the potato for the doctors, and I charge 1 potato for 4. 1 for me, 3 for the doctor. I have more potatoes than him. My pockets are always full of boiled potatoes. And you know the Germans, they have very heavy boots. And in front of their boots, they have a little piece of steel. And if they don't like your face, they hit you in your bum with those boots. You won't sit on your backside for at least 1 week. One night, my best friend Kurt was in block 38, me in block 14. It's snowing, it's cold, we have a little cap, and I had my collar up, and I walk, and I hear somebody behind me. I turn around, that's when he wanted to hit me in the back. But as I turned, he hit me here. And he hit the potatoes. So it didn't hurt me, but I fell over. So I not only mashed these potatoes, also on the other side. And when I came to my friend, I said, Kurt, sorry, today is mashed potatoes. Very hard, I tell you. I walked away like this, not to give him the chance to give me another. If he didn't hurt me, he'd give me another. One day, I'm just walking. Auschwitz is very big, and a man take me by my collar and punched me with a knuckle duster on my nose. I had no glasses. And he said, "Was bist du? What are you?" And I answer, "I'm Mensch, a human." Another one. Blood came out from my nose and my ears. And I said, "I don't know what he wants." And a little Jewish boy shouted to me, "Sag Judenschwein." I had to say that I'm a Jewish pig, or he killed me then and there. Why? I tell you, I'll never forget and never forgive. How are we going? Okay. So, Auschwitz, we live 400 people in a block. We sleep 10 people between columns, like herrings. 1 liar, 2 liars, 3 liars. If one of the 10 goes to the toilet, when he comes back, he shakes number 1 and number 10. They get up, crawl over the sleeping ones, and push themselves in the middle. If you didn't shake them, you killed them, because they are frozen to death. They can only live on the outside for 4 hours. And some people come back from the toilet, they slide back in their slot without pulling them. Every night, 10 to 15 people die in our blocks. Also, every month comes a doctor, and he wants to look your shirt. If they find 1 lice on your shirt, and they have lice, they close the block. We have 1 window and 1 door with cellotape, and they put 1 little tin of Cyclone B, and 400 people die. So what you do? We get every second night, we get 15 grams of marmalade or 15 grams of honey. One of the honey I keep. And when this doctor is coming, our young people from my block, we take all the shirts, we put them on the floor, and I put with a little piece of timber a drop on each shirt on the bottom of honey. And within 30 seconds, all the lice are in the honey. And another fellow has a little patcher, boop, boop. Never in my block they found, but I saw other blocks closed with cello, little bit of smoke coming out, 400 people die. But not only that he looks your shirt, he also looks your backside. Your backside has to be like that. This is your energy reserve. When you get skinny, you don't have to be skinny. When you come like that, also your backside falls in, becomes the other side, and bigger you are, more skin is hanging down. He takes your number at 11 o'clock that day, you go to the gas chamber. So how is it possible? So I say to the young people, you must eat. Don't become a model. Don't become like that skinny. Because when it goes too far, it's very difficult to reverse. That is how they look if your energy is right. I have no more food or much more, a little bit. Why didn't it happen to me or my friend? Because if you tell yourself, I must not give up. Your machine, this is the best machine. I make beautiful machines, but I can't make a human body. This is the best machine ever made. This machine makes liquid. And my face was gonflé, comment on dit? Swollen, yeah. I had no more energy, but he couldn't see it because this machine worked properly. So, on the 18th of January, 1945, something must have happened. Or they run out of bullets because the bell rings in the morning at 5 o'clock to appel, means head count. We were 68,023 men in Auschwitz I. And at 7 o'clock, they put us on the road. And we were walking for 3 days and 3 nights. No water, no food, no stopping. We lost more people in those 3 days than any time before. My best friend, when we arrived in Gleiwitz, Kurt, he said to me, Eddie, I can't go any further. I went down, we were on the second floor in a Polish military building. I went to the shower and I found a manhole. And I found a ladder, I got up the ladder, I opened the manhole, and 2 fellows were there already hiding. They made shh. So I ran back to my friend, middle of the night, and I said, Kurt, I found the hiding place. I helped him, I kissed him, I helped him up the ladder, I put him in, closed the manhole, and put the ladder back. And the next morning, I was sent in a wagon, open wagon, 35 people, back to Auschwitz, back to Buchenwald, sorry. Now, I had a motto, never be the first, never be the last, and never volunteer. I had to break this. From Buchenwald, I cannot escape. So the second day we were lying on the floor, a man came and shouted, is there a toolmaker between you? Me. And I was sent to a factory, Krupp, K-R-U-P-P, and I worked there for 4.5 months. They made, I was rectification of gears. I was making gears. We were only 200 prisoners. And when this factory was closed, it was very hard work, from 6 o'clock at night to 6 o'clock in the morning, chained to a machine. Sometimes my guard, who's supposed to come every 3 hours to take me to the toilet, is drunk and doesn't come. You have no idea. No one will know what happened to us. We can tell you 100 times. It's impossible to understand how humans can do that to other humans. This camp was closed in April 1945. And we were walking around in circles. And one night, the commander says to us, I found a horse. I'm going to kill the horse. And I'm going to make soup. Everybody gets a meal tonight. This was the sign for me. Tonight, you must go. As we were walking around, I found 2 pieces of timber, which was the lid of sour cucumbers. The German love sour cucumbers. And the lid is 40 centimeter, 1 inch thick, in hardwood. I don't know why. and I found them. And I carried them with me. Every time we stop, I sit on them. So nobody sit that I carry those timbers. That night, when he wanted to give us the soup, when it got dark, in Germany the road is 34 meters wide and 1.5 meters above the fields. And from one side of the other is a big pipe, nearly always half full of water. In April 1945, the pipe was 3/4 full. When it got dark, I went into the water, right in the middle. And I put one timber on my right side and one timber on my left side. And I blacked out. I don't know if I was there 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days. I don't know. When I woke up, I found 38 bullets in the right timber and 10 in the left. If I didn't have this timber, I would have been dead. Now I know. Every time we stop and we walk away, 2 soldiers stay behind. One started shooting from this side, then he goes away, and this one shoots from that side. Otherwise they can shoot at each other. And this is why. I was wet. When I came out, I was wet and cold, but it was much warmer inside the water than outside. And I saw smoke coming out. It must be 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I saw smoke coming out from a house. I went to that house, I knocked on the door. I looked awful, but I had a little triangle and my number of my arm was on my back. And a young girl opened, 17. And I said to her, please don't be frightened. Can you help me with a pair of shoes? She ran in, she called the father. Father came out, he hugged me, he kissed me. And he says, please stay with me. There are no houses for 15 kilometers. If a patrol car comes here and finds me in your house, they kill me and your whole family. He gave me leather shoes. He gave me a jumper. I threw away my striped clothes. He gave me a cap with a shield from a golf club. And he told me where his high shed was. I was one night in the high shed. And then the next morning I walked for about 2 hours to a forest, a big forest. The first night I found a cave, I couldn't stay. I had to stay the night. Bats were flying around, hitting me on the head. Lucky I had no hair, because they get into your hair, you can't get them out. And the second night I found a cave. No one would have found me in that cave. And for 2.5 months, I was eating big snails, escargot, and slugs. Raw. I know how to handle them. You can't eat the last bit, you cannot eat, that's poison. And I lived like that. I collected some water from a creek. This water was poison. I got so sick that I couldn't stand up anymore. On the 4th of June, 1945, on my hands and my knees, I made 100 meters to the highway. I pulled myself up on some bushes. I put my head on the highway. I'm in front of an American tank. The war was over from the 8th of May. I didn't know. I collapsed. I tell you, they were wonderful. They put me on a blanket. I don't know where they got the blanket from. And they drove me to a hospital. I woke up after 7 days in a coma. And every day at 8 o'clock and in the evening at 6 comes a doctor. His name is Professor Hoffman, with a little beard. And I asked Professor Hoffman, what are my chances? Every day I ask, he walks away. So eventually I got so mad, I grabbed the arm of a nurse. Her name was Emma. Wow, she was so tall. And I said, Emma, I know you're not allowed to tell me, but what did he tell you? And I started crying. And she bent down and she whispered in my ear, 65% you're dead and 35% you live. And I made a vow. I said, lieber God, dear God, if you help me to come out of this hospital alive, I promise you, I will never, ever put my feet again on German soil. This is what I'm doing. Now, before I finished, I'd like to read to you one little letter. It's a letter from a girl 15 years of age. And she said, "Dear Eddie, our best friend, thank you so much for inspiring us all with your stories. We came in today not knowing what to expect. Maybe a speech about Judaism. You have taught us something that can't be learned in school. You have taught us more life lessons in the time we were with you than most of us have in our 15 years of life. You are a true inspiration, have managed to touch all of our hearts. We will walk out of this place much better people than when we came in. Being with you has made us want to make this world a better place. Thank you so much for this experience, and we will never forget you." And I want to finish my presentation with a wish to all of you. May you always have lots of love to share, lots of good health to spare, and lots of wonderful friends that care. Thank you.
Eddie, you've got another 250 fans. Eddie is, I don't have to tell you after hearing him, such an inspiration. And honestly, I think he's got more fan mail than most movie stars. Because every child that has come to the museum and heard Eddie's story has never forgotten him. And as the letter said, they just want to share with him the way he's changed their lives. And that is what our survivors do. That is what we've been able to do with all the children. We want to educate, we want to tell them, we want to share with them the importance of tolerance, the importance of acceptance of everyone around us. And it's our wonderful survivors in this museum that are able to share that message. We've got a couple of rows of survivors. Please stand up, because I think you also deserve a round of applause. Please stand up. They give of their time, they give of themselves. I mean, Eddie is a sparkling young 96-year-old. You know, it's just unbelievable that they come in here filled with energy and positivity. The messages are never negative. They're always positive. You know, they're positive messages that they give. And it's just so wonderful to see so many new faces in our audience today, people who may have never been to this museum, who have never seen what we're all about, who've never heard a Holocaust survivor. So I welcome you all here today. Eddie told you to become a member, and when Eddie says something, you have to listen. We've got membership forms just outside the door, so if you'd like to join the museum family, as we like to call it, you're most welcome. We have this Remember Me program on the third Sunday of every month, in July being the July holidays. We take a break. Our next one is on the third Sunday in August, where Olga Horak, another one of our very wonderful survivors, will be talking. Make sure you book early, because I'm sure we're going to have another sold-out event. One more thing I wanted to tell you about. Next Wednesday evening, we have a photographer by the name of Greg Constantine. Now, Greg has devoted his life to photographing what he calls stateless people. He's got a book called Nowhere People. His photographs have won multiple awards. He's here for Refugee Week, and he will be joining us at the museum next Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. to share his photographs, which are absolutely phenomenal. the stories and the people he's met. So if you'd like to book for that, please make sure to call the museum on Monday, because I think that's going to be another very wonderful event to be at. You've all got the little card which has got Eddie's photo and a few dot points to remind you of his history. Eddie signed the back of it, and we ask you to just take a brief moment to take that card home with you, remember Eddie's story, and just make a pledge to pass it on, to tell more people, to tell people about the museum and about our wonderful Holocaust survivors. Please join me in giving Eddie another very warm round of applause. We have a cafe on the first floor, so if you'd like a cup of coffee, if you want to have a look at the Anne Frank exhibition, which is also on the first floor, and I thank you all for being here today. Thank you. Thank you, Eddie. You were marvelous. Be careful down the steps.